talk about the last episode of 90 Day Hunt for Love. Yes, I know I'm a little late talking about this episode because we have a new episode starting in a few days. I just had a busy week, but let's go ahead and get into it. So I feel so bad for the singles. I'm not gonna lie, like, especially the options they have to date from like the males, especially. Like, if that was a female and my dating options to date from was Colt, Usman, Tim, and Rob, I would have been so pissed. And apparently the singles had no idea what show they were going on when they went on it. I guess like they were casted by 90 Day Fiancé producers and they reached out to them on social media and they're just like, hey, we're gonna do like this kind of love show and we're gonna do it on this resort in Mexico. I will say so far I've enjoyed the show a lot more than I expected. My only complaint is I feel like the singles are more like background actors than actual cast members because I don't know anything about these singles. Like all the 90 Day Fiancé people, they get these fancy little intros. We get a look at their past and how they started on 90 Day Fiancé. I think we maybe got like a short intro of like Elise's name and like one other person, but besides that we really don't know anything about these singles. Like, I want a little introduction, even if it's only like 30 seconds. Tell me something about these people. Like, I want to know where they're from, what they do for a living, throw in their net worth. I'll get a little juicy. I don't know. I just want to know more than what they're giving us. It seems like it's more focused on the 90 Day Fiancé people versus the singles. But so far, I like the whole concept. So it starts off with this like little speed dating experiment they decide to do so they can see how good a game these singles really have. First, we get to see Cortney on this date. And this girl does not know how to flirt or interact with people without alcohol. She was sitting there talking to this guy and she did not know how to keep the conversation going. But to be fair, the other guy didn't know how to keep the conversation going at all. It seemed like they had zero interest in each other. Because if you really are interested in someone, you'll find things to talk about. So they sat there and they cut the conversation short and sweet. And they're like, okay, this is feeling more like an interview versus an actual date. And I think that's something like all the singles need to practice on. Like things to say when you start conversations and like key points to bring up to keep the conversations going. Like maybe I should ask them what they're from, what they do for a living. Like things that weren't covered in the intros we usually get from people. Next we see Colt sit down and he does this speed dating experiment with this girl. And this girl has a bunch of tattoos and piercings. So this girl's sitting down first. And they're like, okay, Colt, address this like how you would address anybody that you just see. And try to see what you could do to start a conversation with her. So he walks up to the table all awkwardly, just standing there trying to talk for a few minutes. And finally the girl's like, dude, do you want to sit down? Colt awkwardly sits down. And he didn't know what to say, so he's like, okay, she's got tattoos, she's got piercings, so let me start talking about that so we can find this common ground. So he's like, oh, I see you like, you're a big fan of this. And she's like, a big fan of what? He's like, oh, the tattoos and piercings. So do you got some nipple piercings? Like, he just jumped the gun asking her about nipple piercings. And she became so offended. She's like, dude, you need to slow your roll. We're not going to talk about my body, especially on the first date. And she sat there and put him to the fire and roasted his ass. I felt so bad for Colt. Like, I understand where she's coming from because it's not appropriate to be talking about someone's nipples and body, especially on a first date and in front of a big group setting like that. But at the same time, I think part of the reason why Colt's the way he is because he grew up being homeschooled. So he's not used to being around people outside of his family. I think the girl overdid it on embarrassing Colt, though. Like, she was going on and on and on. And I feel like part of that was because she really wasn't finding a connection. So I think some of these people are like, okay, well, if I can't find a connection, they kind of already threaten us that if we don't try to find connections, that they're going to probably replace us with someone else. So let me make sure if I don't find a connection, that I at least keep the drama going. And I think that's a lot of what Chantel's doing, because they sat Chantel down and they're like, Chantel, you're not getting any connections. Nobody gave you a good score when it came to having a connection with you, and it's the same with you. You're acting like you're not connecting with anyone else, but it seems like Chantel's like, well, I may not be able to bring the connections, but I'm sure as hell gonna bring the drama. I don't even know why Chantel's here. Like, I'm glad they brought her because she seems to be an instigator and she's constantly stirring the pot. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like she's really trying to develop any connections like they said, because I feel like she had more of a relationship with this girl she claimed she kissed before coming on the show than she's claiming she did, because I feel like she did more than just kiss the girl. She seemed stuck on that girl. The girl probably ate the coochie and everything. They probably vacationed together, and rumor has it they're together now. I definitely feel like they're farther in their relationship than Chantel's leading on. And I think that's why she has this wall up and she's not really developing any connections with anybody, because she has already started this whole relationship with, I think her name's Ashley, but I'm sorry if I say it wrong. Okay, so anyways, next thing you know, Usman sits down with Cortney and he's like, oh my God, Cortney, I like you so much. I want you to be my connection. I want to see where this thing goes. And honestly, I just feel like Usman is panicking because he's probably thinking, okay, none of these other girls are interested in me because they don't want to be with a guy from Nigeria who sat there and romanced all these older women all his life. Like, I don't think any of these singles are into Usman like that. So he's like, damn, I gotta make a connection. So I think he's really trying to push it on Cortney because he knows Cortney is an easy connection to make. She doesn't really care about deep conversations and like a lot of things that these other singles might be looking for. It seems like as long as you take her out to get some food and watch some Netflix with her, she's a happy girl, and give her some alcohol. I really think it don't take much to impress Cortney. Just don't be no brokey or anything. So Cortney was like, okay, I'm willing to see where this goes, but I still want to keep my options open. And then Usman was like, can I get a kiss? And she's like, no, dude. And I'm so glad she told him no, because he really hasn't put any effort into trying to romance her like she said. He hasn't taken her on any dates. He's just trying to go the easy route. And I don't like that at all, because it's not coming across as genuine. And she's like, no, you romance me a little more and then I'll think about kissing you. Then later on, we see Colt walk up to Cortney and Usman sitting down, and Usman's like, hey, I'm about to go to my room and go straight to sleep. Do you want to go along with me? And Colt's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? So you just want to go bang her in your room? And then Usman's like, dude, get out of this. Like, at this point, it feels like a whole love triangle between Cortney, Usman, and Colt, and Cortney stuck in between. And Colt was really trying to make things work with Cortney, and I'm like, okay, this is coming out of left field, because suddenly it seemed like he had no connections, and then all of a sudden it seems like he's really focused on Cortney. And I haven't really seen them talk much before this, but I did watch the Between the Sheets episode, and Colt revealed that earlier that day he was hungry and he went outside of his room. He came across Cortney. He asked Cortney if they wanted to go get lunch. They got lunch, they ate, and they ended up talking, developing a connection, and now he wants to see where that goes. And that's the thing, I thought they were going to have cameras following them around 24/7. I guess they're just like filming like towards night, like when they all go to the parties and when they do the little speed dating exercise, which that's a little disappointing, because I would have loved to see a camera follow Cortney and Colt on their first date. And honestly, Cortney and Colt, in my head, they make a lot more sense than Cortney and Usman. And rumor has it Cortney went for Colt because Colt has is a lot more famous in the 90 Day Fiancé world versus Usman, and I don't blame her. Like, Usman has a tarnished reputation. I mean, Colt does too, but Usman's all the way in Nigeria. It's going to be hard to keep that going, but Colt's actually in America, so's Cortney, and spoiler alert, for those of you guys who don't know, Cortney and Colt did end up hooking up. Then we're going to see Colt break his leg or hurt his leg again at this 90-day Hunt for Love. And oh my God, I would have been panicking if that was him, because he broke his leg the first time filming with Vanessa for 90 Day The Last Resort. And then they sat there and it seemed like they were done with him, and they discarded Colt because his leg was broken. And even Vanessa called 90 Day Fiancé out for that. And then suddenly, now that his leg's healed, they bring him back only for him to break his leg again. Oh my God, I feel so bad for him. So he breaks his leg sometime on this Hunt for Love retreat, and Cortney decides to take care of him. I could have sworn Cortney had her own place, but apparently after she left the retreat, she moved, or she wanted to go back to her parents' house in Florida where she was staying, and she moved Colton to her parents' house with her, where she helped take care of him for months while his leg was broken and he was bedbound. And I guess even while he was bedbound, he was still finding ways to talk to other women, and cheated with like 2 different women. I don't know if he actually did the whole cheating while he was still bedbound, but eventually he started getting better. And I do know at some point he cheated with 2 different women, and Cortney was like, yeah, enough is enough. And man, shout out to Cortney's parents. I know my mom, if I asked her to let some random guy from this 9-day Hunt for Love retreat move in with us, she would have been like, hell no. It don't matter who it is. She would not be going for that. But somehow Cortney's parents were fine with that. They let Colt live with them for a while until he was just being a little dog and couldn't stop cheating. So it sounds like he really hasn't changed too much of his ways. Or maybe Cortney couldn't keep up with his 7 times a day, because that's a lot. I don't care who you are. Like, I got stuff to do. There's no way I'm going to be spending that much time a day banging, unless that's what I do, like, for a living, and I'm like a, you know, adult film star or something like that. But that's pretty much it, guys. I just want to focus on this little love triangle between Usman, Colt, and Cortney for this video, because the first episode was 2 hours long, and if I try to cover all of it, then I'm going to be all over the place, and this video is going to be a lot longer than I expected. So let's just go ahead and get this out for now. And I do want to share something with you guys. So I'm not going to lie, at first, when this show came on, I was watching it, and I planned on covering it, but I needed like a week or 2 to get over my feelings. A little fun fact, so 90 Day Fiancé, they had their PR company reach out to me 2 weeks before they had this 90-day Hunt for Love premiere party. So they had this premiere party for this show in New York City 1 week before it actually premiered. And so their PR company reached out to me, and they're like, US Weekly and 90 Day Fiancé would like to invite you to their 90-day Hunt for Love premiere party. And I was like, oh my God. I was so excited, and I was shocked that they even invited little old me. But they invited me, and they're like, okay, what's your email? What's your information? And I gave them my information, and this is 2 weeks before the party. So I gave them all my information. They told me they were going to invite me. So all day I was constantly refreshing my email, waiting to get an invite, and the invite never came in. So eventually I messaged them. I'm like, hey, when are the invites going to come out? And they're like, okay, you're going to get an invite the week of the party. So this is 2 weeks before the party, so I needed to wait one more week to get the actual invite. So I waited another week, And I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait until I get my actual invite to set up like my plane ticket, my hotel. But I was sitting there looking at the prices for everything because, you know, they're just inviting me to the party. They're not gonna cover my travel. So I'm looking at the prices, and I sat there and I was looking it up for New York City, and the prices I had from like the day before when I was looking at prices, I look up prices the next day, and the ticket and hotel went up $200. It went from $1,000 to $1,200. So I was like, oh my God, if it's like this a week and a half before the event, by the time it's a week before the event, the plane tickets are going to skyrocket. I don't travel much, so I don't really know, but $200 in a day, I was scared how much more the flight and the hotel was going to go up the week of. So I decided to book my travel, my plane ticket, my hotel, and it was a pretty penny to go to New York. Like, I could have went to Vegas for 5 days and spent a third of what I spent for 2 days in New York. But I went ahead and booked everything. I went and bought my outfits, went shopping, prepared for this party. I was so freaking excited. And then 3 days before the party, I still haven't got my invite. So I reached out to the PR company, and they're like, yeah, unfortunately, we can no longer confirm you. I guess they over invited people and had to cut back some of who they invited, I guess just due to the budget or space. I don't know exactly. I know I'm not the only person this happened to. I had another blogger friend that got invited, and the same thing happened to them, but they were smart enough not to jump the gun on booking their hotel and travel. But oh my God, so pretty much I booked this whole trip to New York City for 2 days, spent all this money to strictly go there for this party, just to turn around and tell them, yeah, you're no longer confirmed. Like, to say I was livid would be an understatement. I literally cried for 2 days straight. Like, I was already surprised they invited me to begin with, but oh my God, it was just so heartbreaking to deal with that, especially when I had a non-refundable trip to New York. So I still went out there anyways and made the best of it. But yeah, that was just very disappointing to deal with. I definitely feel very special that they even thought about me and considered me, and they told me they'd love to have me at a future event. But yeah, it just really sucked because I put so much money into this. I mean, that's partially my fault. But yeah, definitely lesson learned, and that will never happen again. I'm not going to jump the gun on booking my travel plans until I have an official invite in my hand. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.